Wolf Pack, what's going on? It's your boy, the Wolf of Roto Street, RotoStreetJournal.com. We breed and feed you fantasy wolves here with your Week 6 Waiver Wire and FAAB show. We've been getting great turnouts to these, getting awesome questions throughout, so super pumped to be here. Hopefully you are too. There are some intriguing options. It's not quite as loaded as last week's Waiver Wire options, but still very top-heavy, like 3 to 5 guys I could see being immediate difference makers for your lineup. A handful of stashes that I think have monstrous upside. So come on in, guys. Join in. Get your questions on in there. I see already 5 asked and answered. Great. Well, not answered yet. I'll get there. I will go for about 20 minutes or so, getting through all your picks, and then we'll hit all your questions live about how much to spend, who to drop, all of that great stuff. So thanks again for being here. If you don't mind hitting this with a thumbs up to help us get out to more people. It looks like a bunch of you guys that just joined right from the top already know the deal. It's so greatly appreciated, and thanks for being here. If you like what we're doing, it supports the site more than you guys know. Well, let's get on with my number one pickup. I think he could go down as the waiver wire pickup of the year, other than maybe Cordarrelle Patterson. It's going to be tough to top him, the running back 2 in PPR fantasy right now. Somebody was in on there early. Kadarius Toney, though. My eye tells me this guy pops off the page, as it does for a lot of people. It's pretty easy. You just have to have eyeballs to see how good this guy is. Deep speed, but especially after the catch, he's a monster. We just saw last week, 13 targets, 10 of them getting hauled in for 189 yards for Kadarius Toney. What an absolutely monstrous performance. He's going up and over defenders. He's ripping 39-yard catches, yards after the catch. It's beastly. He has now seen Kadarius Toney 30.5% target share per game, 11 targets per game, 133.5 receiving yards per game. He's also thrown half a punch in each of his games. Yes, he's hot-headed. Yes, you're going to deal with some antics from there. He also is getting x-rays, so I can't sit here and pretend like this guy is without any type of risk. Of course he is. Plus, this is all coming without Sterling Shepard, who was a mammoth target hog before he got hurt. No Darius Slayton. But how can you watch this guy feast week in and week out these past 2 weeks and not continue to feed him? I think he is absolutely going to have a playmaking role for this Giants team moving forward, on a team desperate for it. I'm intrigued to know, how long is Daniel Jones going to be out with that concussion? But ultimately, Kadarius Toney, my top pickup, I think he is going to be a difference maker from here on out, a very viable wide receiver 3 with, rookie Odell type of upside. Yeah, it's maybe that's the easy comparison because it's on the Giants and he's explosive and he does everything very, very well. But I love this guy. Would be spending about 35% or more if I needed wide receiver on my FAAB, or if I just need some playmakers. I need some upside. Maybe I'm 1-4 and I just need to really roll the dice. Go get this guy. He could end up turning your season around just like Odell did for so many, just 5 seasons ago. Love Kadarius Toney. He'd be my number one claim. Right after him, though, and as I like to emphasize with all of these, you got to go by team need. So I'm going to give you my top 15 in order of how I personally rank them. But of course, if you're desperate at running back, I need a running back this week. I have nobody on my bench. They all have buys right now. So Darrell Williams will become maybe my top priority over Toney on a team like that. I still think Toney's that special that I might even keep him above no matter what my team needs are. But Darrell Williams, if you need running back, could be a workhorse for these next 4 weeks in the most explosive offense, and one of them at least at this point. They're struggling a bit this year. The Chiefs, though, a Pat Mahomes offense is always going to generate scoring opportunities, and Darrell Williams has already sneaky taken that goal line role from Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and now he's going to have the rushing share to himself. Immediate low-end RB1, in my opinion, at worst RB2. He stepped right in when Helaire got hurt, saw 5 touches, 4 targets compared to just 1 for Jerick McKinnon. On the season, he's run 29 routes compared to 24 for McKinnon. Actually, that was last night, and 25 more carries on the year, 26-1 compared to Jerick McKinnon. Never mind the fact that they get Washington, the Titans, Giants, Packers, Raiders, Dallas. I don't know exactly how much they're going to be holding Helaire out, but it's at least a 3 to 4 week injury, they're saying. Their bye doesn't come till late in the season. Already their season is looking potentially like it's going down the tubes. Now, I imagine they'll get that together. So they'll get Clyde back on the field as soon as he needs to. But ultimately, I do think the mentor, as it's been so often nicknamed in the fantasy community, could have a monster role in one of the most important offenses. I do think Jerick McKinnon, if you miss out on Williams or you don't have the $30 to $40 you're going to need to spend to go get this guy, McKinnon is not a bad consolation prize. And don't be shocked if he has near equal workload when you spend just 1% of your FAAB instead of $30 of it, right? This guy was lining up all over the place in the preseason, hyped up for his speed and pass catching abilities is something different than what they had in the running back room. This is the time to show it, Jerick. He was running tons of wheel routes, like split out in the slot, running slant. All this was in training camp, but we haven't seen it on the NFL field yet for the Chiefs. So all speculation. But if you miss out on Darrell Williams, I would say Jerick McKinnon's not a bad consolation prize at all as a desperation fill-in, or at worst, at best, probably just a stash. See what he does. Let's attack this backfield. It's the Chiefs' backfield. We know how much Andy Reid peppers his backs, and Mahomes is going to generate time and time again those scoring opportunities. Probably an even safer, this guy for at least a week is going to be getting 20-plus touches. That's Devontae Booker. He saw 19, all 19, mind you, 19 backfield touches after we saw Saquon leave early in the game, and he did very solid with them. Ended up putting over 20 fantasy points up. He's got a nose for the end zone, Devontae Booker has. In fact, when he has seen 12 or more carries, that's happened 10 times throughout his career. He has averaged nearly 16 fantasy points per game, would have been the RB14 so far with his 15.66 fantasy points per game average this year. And he scored 11 TDs in those 10 games of 12 or more carries. He has workhorse upside. He's going to be a workhorse, and he's shown that he can thrive when fed that volume. He ran a 32 routes on the 43 dropbacks, had all 4 of their targets. He'll get it done in every single facet. All 4 of their running back targets. I should have prefaced that. I know it's going to be a gross offense with no Daniel Jones. Golladay likely out for a week. Shepard and Slayton still banged up. Maybe even Toney. Who knows how this x-ray is going to come out. Still, this guy is going to, Devontae Booker, see a ton of work. And at the running back position, volume is king, especially the guys that get targets and goal line touches. He has that all on lock for at least next week. They did get good news with Barkley. They said it's not nearly as bad as it could have been. I still think you're getting 2 to 3 starts of him. And then you have the rest of the season. Barkley is a walking injury risk for sure. It sucks. Love the guy, as dynamic as can be. Booker is going to be making starts. And as we've said again, you're locked in RB2 anytime he's in there. No doubt about it. And he's going to be that as early as this week. Moving forward, my favorite wide receiver pickup. He's been on here nearly every single week, and yet he still remains only 31% owned. Timmy Patrick. He's unbelievable. I love this guy. He's seen only, Cortland Sutton, yes, the alpha. 19 targets over the last games since Hamler tore his ACL. And, you can't argue with what Sutton just did last week. But Tim Patrick's just right behind him with 15. He is the clear-cut number 2 in this offense, and he's thriving. He's seen 155 air yards, and he has not been below 12 fantasy. Only once, 2 weeks ago, week 4 against Baltimore, was he held under 12 fantasy points. He is just a safe, steady, sure it's unsexy, but he's doing this with barely seeing the end zone. He does have red zone upside too. I really, really like Tim Patrick moving forward. I know Jerry Judy's going to be coming back sooner than later, and he's a guy I got a lot of questions for when I did my waiver wire post today. Definitely stash Jerry Judy ahead of any of these guys, especially if you can get him into the IR until he comes back. The guy saw 8 targets and a half. He was going to be a alpha wide receiver 1 this year. It's too bad. I would definitely be stashing him everywhere. But until he comes back, and even after he does, now that Hamler's hurt, Tim Patrick's going to have a role moving forward the rest of the season. The Broncos are finally getting tested and needing to air it out. He's coming off his season high in yards, in catches, 789, 15.9. PPR points, also a season high so far this year. But if you want upside, let's say you don't need the usability of a Tim Patrick right now. Rondale Moore, another guy we've talked about many a times on the show. I think he's worth 12% of your FAAB. And I just wanted to make sure, how much to spend on Darrell Williams. I mentioned $30, $40 is what you're looking at. Booker, probably 20, 25, just because it's more of a 1-week rental, but going to be a damn good 1-week rental. Nice 16 points for your running back. Tim Patrick, about $15, I would say. Nice, safe wide receiver 3. Rondelle Moore, higher upside here. And the reason why this could be trending better than 2 weeks ago, he was the number 1 guy. You got to go get him, and we kind of disappeared since then. Till this week, he saw more routes than Rondale Moore. Than Christian Kirk. 57% route participation compared to 51% for Christian Kirk. That's a huge step. He played season high in snap rate, 48%. And then Max Williams suffered a season-ending knee injury. This is all going to open up a ton of work for Rondelle Moore moving forward. And he is as explosive as he can be, as we've seen, like the after the catch, but also toe dragging catches, as good as you could ever ask for. I'm very into Rondelle Moore. Now, this guy, Marquez Callaway, does have a bye this week, but if you can hold on and wait it out, yeah, Michael Thomas is going to be back. Yep, Michael Thomas is going to be the number one. He's the alpha. This is me betting that actually helps Marquez Callaway moving forward. Fresh off an 8-target, 4-catch, 85-yard, 2-score day. Yes, a good amount of that came on a Hail Mary. I get it. I understand. I'm really liking what I'm seeing, though. All the preseason hype, it seemed like that was all for naught for those first couple weeks. But since then, he's sneakily been a top 20 wide receiver back-to-back weeks. And now Deontay Harris is hurt. They're going to get Seattle when they come off bye, giving up the 10th most points to wide receivers, followed by Tampa Bay, giving up the most points to wide receivers. I don't know if Michael Thomas will be back by then, but they're going to need points. I don't know, Geno Smith-led offense, maybe not so much against Seattle, but still, very weak secondary. And with number one coverage now going to Michael Thomas, I think that's going to, again, help Callaway shake free and become the deep threat, attack all the layers of the field, destroy number two coverage, because he's already doing decent against number ones. I'm excited to see what he does against number twos. That's where he belongs. And again, with Deontay Harris now hurt too, he's going to be their primary field stretcher. I think you're getting a lot more deep bombs. Jameis has no hesitation slinging this thing. And it seems like Sean Payton's finally letting Winston take those training wheels off and let it fly, especially with Taysom Hill now banged up too. I think good things are on the horizon for Marquez Callaway, even when Mike Thomas returns. Now, another huge upside play at wide receiver is Rashad Bateman, only 18% rostered right now. I think he's worth a good 10% or so of your FAAB. It's a risk. We have no idea what he's going to be. But the argument that, he's in the Ravens offense, what does it matter? They don't throw, can get tossed out the window. Lamar Jackson's averaged 33 pass attempts, by far a career high, as is his 9.1 yards per attempt. He's killing it. If you needed any more confirmation that this offense can throw, look at last night's game. 504 total yards of offense coming from Lamar Jackson himself, well over 400 of that coming through the air. A beast, 86% completion rate. This guy can absolutely throw, and it seems like they're finally molding this offense, and he hasn't even had Rashad Bateman, who I think brings a significantly different element to this passing attack than anyone else they have. Possession, chain moving guy, it's lauded as the next Stephon Diggs potentially. We've seen Kadarius Toney, as soon as he got used, explode. There's not many players that we haven't gotten a look at yet that have that untapped, what are they going to be upside? Bateman's one of those exciting little, could be nothing, but let's see what's under this tab and finds out. I can't wait to see what Bateman does. Hopefully you've had him stashed on your IR. If not, go out and get him. He should be activated. And just to put a little cherry on top, Sammy Watkins hurt his hamstring on Monday night, which means they might have no type of, let's ease him in, 30% of the snaps, none of that. They might have to put this guy in for an every down role from the start. Let's see what he does. Get him on there, stash him out, try him out these next couple of weeks. Let's see what he does. Also at wide receiver, and this goes right along like Tim Patrick, but maybe even longer tail potential to just last the whole season. That's Hunter Renfrow. He's currently the wide receiver 28 in PPR leagues with with over 14 points per game. Unbelievable. He's had 56 yards or a TD in every single game. He's seen at least 6 targets and had at least 5 catches in every single game. 19% target share in every single game. Leading the team in targets and receiving last week. I mean, this is his offense. He doesn't have the ceiling. It's not going to ever be this 30-point outburst. It's not Kadarius Toney, who, again, is at the top. You won't change your season, Hunter Renfrow, but he'll change your season in the sense that he'll give you a nice, steady option for your bye weeks to kind of carry you through. I'm surprised he's not owned in over half of leagues at this point. Make sure he's rostered by the end of this week for sure. And reminder, folks, if you don't mind hitting that thumbs up button, helping us get out to more people. If you're enjoying the content, that really does help us continue to grow the Wolfpack. Share it out, retweets, getting people to join always means a lot to us. Drop it in a Facebook group that you know of. Just help us continue to grow Pack. It would be so appreciated. And of course, keep getting those questions in. If you're watching on Twitter, I always like to give this preface too. They no longer show us the Twitter comments live. So please, by all means, if you're on Twitter, pop on back over to YouTube if you want to get your comments in, or Facebook as well. Another hunter going from Hunter Renfrow to now Hunter Henry. The roommate narrative, the neighbors narrative, going from Mac Jones and Hunter Henry. Finally seeing this kind of connection come into fruition here. He's been just dominating the usage compared to Jonnu Smith the last few weeks, but it hasn't really amounted to a ton of ultimate stats, right? But this time, he saw 26% target share on his 22 routes compared to just Smith's 6 routes. And yes, 19.2 points per game, 65.8 plays per game aren't like anything crazy. They're throwing it a bunch, and it's clear that Mac Jones, the neighbor narrative, loves this guy far more than Jonnu Smith, the higher, acclaimed guy at this point. I love Hunter Henry moving forward, coming off a 19 fantasy point day. They love him there in New England. He's going to continue to climb. This reminds me a little bit of like Dalton Schultz and Blake Jarwin, where it's like, oh, you never can trust one of these guys. And then one continues to show signs of emerging. This was Hunter Henry's like coming out party like Dalton Schultz had just a couple of weeks ago. Let's not like wait as long as a lot of us did to get on the Dalton Schultz train. Get right on this Hunter Henry Express and go get your guy. If you need a quarterback, if you lost Russell Wilson, there's nobody juicier right now than Taylor Heineke. I absolutely love the upside of this guy. 16% rostered. I think you should spend about 5% because quarterback is still pretty deep. Trevor Lawrence is out there in a lot of leagues. He could be your immediate fill-in. But Heineke's gone over 20 fantasy points in 3 of his 4 starts. He's been a top 12 in all of those. He's coming off a tough game against the Saints. Saints defense is great. Guess who's not? The Chiefs defense, who have allowed at least 29 points in every game this year. 7.1 yards per play across the season. This is the team you want to stream against because you know they're going to put up points. You know you're going to have to attack them, and you have the defense to attack. They cannot stop anybody. Yes, there's the risk that Ryan Fitzpatrick comes back in week 7's the early rumblings. But do you think they're going to just turn it right over to him? I think Heineke's shown enough. He's young. He could be the franchise. Clearly, the guys love playing for him. He brings like a Fitzmagic light type of energy here. A lot of big plays. I really like Heineke moving forward, especially the fact that he just missiles to those pylons, baby. I love it. Rushing upside, sneaky Konami code. I'm into Tyler Heineke, at least as a week one, a 1 week stream here, but potentially as a season-long fill-in should he stave off Ryan Fitzmagic. One of his targets, I got to toss out there, Ricky Seals-Jones, RSJ, our namesake there. Not a humongous day. 5 catches, 8 targets, 41 yards. But still, for a tight end, that's pretty good. It was top 12 this last week. More intriguing, though, is the usage. 99% snap rate, 87% route rate, 8 targets was a 19.5, nearly 20% target share. That was higher than any single game Logan Thomas had while healthy so far this year. The usage is encouraging. He almost had another 35-yard bomb that was negated by a penalty. There's upside here. Ricky Seals-Jones is a freak, big body, like 6'7" guy that blazes. We wrote about him a ton a few years ago. Blazes like a 4.5, complete size speed nightmare that they have nobody else. We've got, who else hurt there? Curtis Samuel banged up, Diami Brown banged up. Like it's going to be Terry McLaurin, Ricky Seals-Jones, and Adam Humphries, I guess, at this point. And he gets the Chiefs defense we were just talking about, giving up so many big plays and scores. I think he's a great bet to find the end zone this week. Look what Dawson Knox just did. Seals-Jones could destroy this team deep down the seams coming up this week. One of my favorite tight end streams this week and moving forward until Logan Thomas is back. Big fan of RSJ, Ricky Seals-Jones. Alex Collins, I did want to mention, not because he had a monster day, 8 fantasy points, 9.4 in PPR leagues, okay. But he did play 71% of the snaps. This did come against a great Rams run defense. He did run a route on 58% of the dropbacks. Yes, that DJ Dallas worked in. But now without Russell Wilson, you've got to imagine they're going to get very run heavy. So if Chris Carson does continue to miss time, I think you can go back to the well with Collins. He was really just a touchdown away from having a great day. 9 fantasy points without finding the end zone isn't that bad. It was frustrating in the sense that it was just such an easy hype, like Thursday night, let's go Alex Collins. But every time he's gotten work, he's looked solid. He's got that deadly spin move. Steelers are a tough matchup here in week 6. So if you can get some of those other running backs we talked about, Darrell Williams, Devontae Booker, like go to those guys first. But Collins, and the other note is, they're saying Carson's progressing rapidly right now. and that he's day to day. There was rumblings that he might have to go to the IR at one point. So clearly things are trending right for Carson, which means Collins' usability is just dwindling right now. But you might get at least one more week, and clearly a neck stinger like that could pop up at any point. We've seen Carson have injury problems throughout his career. I think Collins is worth the hold because he's, again, 71% snap player without Carson, like a de facto kind of pseudo every down back. And an offense that, Geno Smith's going to definitely lessen the appeal of this overall offense. But he filled in pretty admirably, and they still have Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf on the outside. Like, they're going to be able to still do some damage. So I like Alex Collins. Kind of like this Khalil Herbert kid. I really liked him coming out of college. I hated the landing spot, but he's done nothing but impress so far. Particularly, you're getting the usage. 18 carries with a team high, 52% of the total there. He also played 34 snaps, 53%, so more than Williams there. I guess the rub here comes that they had a 14-3 lead, and then Herbert really started to take over. 11 of the team high 18 carries did come in the second half. Damian Williams also got all of the targets, but Herbert could catch the ball coming out of college. And also Damian Williams did get all the inside the 10. Three or four at least looks inside the 10. So the money touches are going to Damian, who's looking like a rock-solid RB2 till Montgomery comes back. But Herbert is seeing the usage that if you're desperate, running back getting 10-plus carries is always at least worth considering. At 19% roster, I think you could toss $6-8 on him and see what happens. Another guy in that kind of situation of what's going to happen with the starter, Samaj P Ryan. He looked good. I talked about it coming into the week. Every time he only seen 13 carries once, and he put up 93 yards and 2 TDs and caught 4 balls. This last week he had 15 touches, and what did he do but find the end zone, put up 60-ish yards, quality, useful day. He played 41 of 19 snaps compared to Mixon. Saw 15 touches to Mixon's 11. Chris Evans saw, a couple targets, but he was nowhere to be seen. P. Ryan was the goal line back, the third down back. He's on the COVID list now, so you got to track that. Because then Chris Evans, who's only 2% roster, would become a smash play at that point. But I do really like Samaj P. Ryan. Okay, that's aggressive. As it came out, I was like, I don't love the talent. I don't love the player, but I do like the usage. And just track Joe Mixon's usage in practice this week. If he's full, then cut P Ryan. No need to hang on to him. But at this point, worth checking out for sure. And my last guy, the Barry and saves, I just typed that in. Amon-Ra St. Brown, one of the best names to say in the league, but also one of the better receiver pickups of the week. He had 7 to 8 targets and 65 yards. All of those were team highs. Quintez Cephas is on the IR, potentially done for the year with a collarbone injury. That actually resulted in St. Brown, who had been limited to only 3 receiver sets because he was locked in the slot, playing nearly 30% of his snaps outside, and he's dominated. Now led the Bengals in targets in back-to-back weeks, so the usage has been solid. And he gets the Bengals this week, who've given him the 8th most for fantasy points, 2 wide receivers. There's a little bit of wide receiver flex juice here. Absolutely worth a potential squeeze to see what he does. I think he's by far the most talented guy on here. And now that the usage is going to finally come, I'm intrigued. Another stash and potentially usable, depending on what happens with Damian Harris's chest injury. We got Vermonter Stevenson, the big boy, the preseason leader in rushing yards. Yes, Bolden, seeing 13.7% target share, very, very, very poor man's James White. He's got that role, but Stevenson has some pass catching chops too. And didn't get any targets. But if Harris missed his time, this guy could rumble. He could wear down defenses, as we saw in the preseason. I think there's some real upside to him. And I also think the last stash I got here tonight, and then on to your 25 questions, get more in. Let's load it up, Wolfpack. Marla Mack. Not because I think he's going to do anything of note with the Chiefs, but because they're interested in trading him. And guess who's interested in trading for him? The Chiefs. And that actually kind of does make Darrell Williams a bit riskier to blow your complete FAAB load on. Marla Mack, though, first extensive action, over 9 yards per pop on his 4 or 5 carries. I forget exactly what it was. Looked like he was fully back. He could do damage with the Chiefs if this injury lingers and they trade for him. Could damage in some backfields. Chiefs would be the most notable one, of course. Worth stashing to see where does this guy land for sure. Alrighty, folks. That's all I got in terms of pickups. Let me know if I missed anybody, who you're considering. And otherwise, let's get on to the mailbag, folks. Let us now get in here. Notification gang. That's what I like to hear for Kevin Rice. Love it. Thanks for being here right on 1-4 season. I hate it. I like the 1-0 start, Michael Schneider. I don't know what's happening, brother. We got to figure out how to turn it around. I will say, and I'm not just saying this to like kind of create false optimism. I've been 1-5 in one leagues. Odell Beckham was a big part of me winning those leagues, but it can happen. You can still turn that thing around. Exactly. As Kevin Rice is saying here. Hopefully Tony's the next OBJ. Go get him. I think he's the guy. He got picked up. That's your league is smart, man. You like this? Thank you. I appreciate it. What up, Omar? Great to see you. The only question that matters, did you beat Bailey this week? Oh, D&D, I slapped those cheeks around. It was awesome. Even after trading Madison to a team that was desperate, and I got Dalvin Cook for Madison and Carson, baby. Love it. Thought I might have to sacrifice my week. Oh, no, I beat Bailey by 50. It was awesome. Felt great. Kid thought he was great. He was the number one team coming into the game. Oh, yeah. Put him in his place. It felt great, D&D. Feel free to talk some trash. We got CJ sending in 99 cents. I guess the super chat's working. Great stuff. Awesome. It says, thanks for winning me the week. The 99 center coming through. I want that to, if super chat's working, that's awesome. I want to see if there's a way to we might need the mods to look through that. Once we finally get mods to find who pays super chats. Cause that could be a good way if you guys were here last Thursday, it was nuts. We had 400 live questions. I think 300 consecutive live viewers at one point. It was insane. So when we have days like that, the super chat can come in handy if you're really desperate and need to get your question in there. What up, Jimmy? Great to see you. Burrow for Lawrence. I'd rather have Burrow on that side. So let me know which one you're on, but I'd go Burrow there. Omar, do you think Booker's worth? I don't know. Toney would be. Darrell would be. I think you hold off, though. I think Booker, unless you have Saquon, then you definitely should. Otherwise, you're getting 1-2 weeks. Do you need that running back? If you're 4-1, my guess is you probably have good backs already. If you need the plug and play 15 to 20 points, yes, do it. But if you don't need it, I might hold out. I don't know who else will emerge as a true league winner, but Booker's, given the injuries not season ending, probably just a week or two for Barkley. You're not getting a ton of value, I don't think, to use the number one claim, in my opinion. What up, Mitch? Great to see you, brother. Who's on the chopping block for Mr. Rice first? Singletary, OBJ, A-Rob. Would you cut all three for your top 3 to 5 waivers? I would cut any of them for Toney. I would cut Singletary first, just because there's a chance either A-Rob or OBJ gets traded. They're just so talented that if they were in the right situation, they would kill it. I would probably cut I want to cut A-Rob so bad. I think he's more likely to get traded, though. I don't know that you can cut those other 2 receivers. You could, for Darrell Williams, you could cut OBJ. I don't think him and Baker, they've never had a rapport, and I don't think they're going to get one now when Jarvis Landry's due back soon. And just keep A-Rob on the bench in hopes he gets traded. Cut him in a couple weeks if it doesn't turn around or he doesn't get traded. You'll know by November 2nd. So what, 2-3 weeks away? Oh, Kevin, that's tough. But yeah, I would go for Darrell and Kadarius. Yes, I would cut 2 of those guys. I don't think a third cut's necessary for Booker. What up, Billy Jiggs? Great week 5, 2 QB. Opponent got bamboozled by Allen and Herbert. That must have been 90 points combined from those 2. I love it. 1 game behind the wife, but gaining momentum. I love to hear Katie Jiggs is killing it too. The Jaguar household is dominating. It's because you built up some good karma from lending me those great pants. They were awesome, Billy Jiggs. I need to get those back to you. Thank you. CH and Zeke owner here. Booker, Gaskin, D. Williams, Connor, K. Herbert on 10-team league waiver. I'm last priority. Any chance I get any of these guys? Ward, I have no idea how your waiver wires play out. I think you can get one of them, right? If there's that many loaded options here, you'll probably be able to sneak something in. So go for it. But I don't know how competitive your league is. If you're 10, there's 6 guys there. They might not make it to you, but I think go for it. Ertz versus Tampa over Henry versus Dallas. Goddard's on the COVID. If Goddard's not playing, Chase, that changes things big time. Because they are a team that loves to pepper their tight ends. Hurts has shown that routinely this year. Otherwise, I'm going Henry at Dallas, but we'll know on Thursday. So that's the good news, Chase, is we can kind of decide this early. And I would play Ertz against Tampa should there be no Goddard. They're a very generous pass defense. Just traded Swift for Diggs straight up, Jeremiah. I love that, especially if you're strong at running back. Like, I get Diggs has not been even close to what he was last year, but he's still seen 26, 28, 33%. And then last week, only 5 targets. Yeah, that was a little concern. But otherwise, the target share has been elite. He just hasn't been finding the end zone and connecting on the deep plays like he had been. That will shake out. Josh Allen's still looking great. This offense still looking explosive. And I'm not thinking Manny Sanders is that good to be taking this much type of fantasy production away from Diggs. I think you bought low at a fantastic clip. I do really like Swift too. But if you were strong at running back, and clearly, Jones, Zeke, Edmonds, Harris, Damian Williams, like you got some depth. So yeah, I like that move for you, brother. Well done. Gronk already ruled out. Good to know. Thank you, Kevin Rice. Because as soon as he's back, he's going to be a beast, but guess not yet. Giuseppe, what up, my guy? Happy Tuesday indeed to you. Left field, question of the week for Bars in the Tuck. My league gives points for return yards. Interesting. Should I pick up Jamal Agnew since he's getting targets? He had 8 targets. I wouldn't have even considered it. I would never play the defense, though. That's scary. But I could play him. Yeah, sure. If you're getting the return yardage, I mean, the guy's a monster in the return game. One of the best, maybe the best in the league right now. So, yeah, I think he is worth a pickup. That isn't out of left field, Bars in the Tuck, but yeah. Had a crazy 210.5 points. Beasley was the only dud. They don't want his anti-vat. Yeah, I like that. Seriously, David. Awesome to hear, though. 210 points. Beautiful. Beautiful week. One team, who was it? Sent me their scoring. They had almost 300 points. It was wild. What up, Ben? Coming off 197. Love to hear it, even though you only got 15 from Lance. Awesome stuff. Waddle and Eli Mitchell to get Hurts and Bateman. Who's your QB? Is Lance is the only guy? Then yeah, I think you have to do that. Because like Eli Mitchell, he's clearly the guy, 80% of the running back snaps and touches this last week, but it's a nightmare. Waddle could come into his own, but if you need the QB, like Hurts is a stud. And Bateman could be a stud. So I would probably do this if I'm you, depending on your QB need. Next week is going to be huge for waivers. Najee, Jefferson, Lamb, and Sanders all on bye. Yeah, we're going to have to clean up, Kevin. So maybe you do need to cut all those guys and pick up Booker and get some fill-in duty. Gaskin's out there. Would you go after him over those guys? Joe, I don't know. Like, 31 points is no joke. He's always been good. I love the player. I really do. I think Gaskin, the fact he doesn't get 18 touches a week is a damn crime, given what he did last year when he was getting that work. But just as soon as he gets 31, like, how can we be confident that's going to continue, given the way he's been used all year, Joe? I'm not. So I wouldn't put him over Toney. I wouldn't put him over Darrell. I'd probably even take Devontae. That's probably where I'd slide him in there. You could go 15 to 20%, but I'm not crazy about Gaskin, no matter how good he looked this last week. If that usage carries on the rest of the year, then he is better than everybody we talked about. He's better than half the league. He was the number 1 scoring running back this week. I'm not confident that it does, though. I wish it would. I'm not confident it does. Mitch, awesome the trade. Yeah, I appreciate you giving me the little nudge to get that trade done. It's good to have the Wolfpack be able to support me. I love answering your questions, and it's awesome to be able to have you guys reciprocate it. You gave me that push. Still got the W, and I now have Dalvin Cook, Devontae Adams, and Travis Kelce all on the same team. I shouldn't leave Mike Evans out of that conversation, should I? Nah, I don't think so. Dawson Knox even too. I mean, that team's going to be a wagon when these guys all get healthy and ready to go. Appreciate you, Mitch. Boss Man Fat, rank these guys from worst to first. Only need them for short term while Monty's out. I mean, if you just need the short term fill-in, I think Damian is the number 1. I think long term, A.J. Dillon is the most upside there. I mean, he's getting more and more involved, so like some standalone appeal. Plus, if something happens to Jones, season winner. So I'd rank them if you need someone to fill in right now. Damian Williams, best option. A.J. Dillon's my next best, both as a fill-in and as a stash. Unless you just need a literal 1 week rental, then it's Devontae Booker over Dillon. But give me Williams, give me A.J. Dillon. And if you don't really need Damian, A.J. Dillon's by far the best option here. Trade Kamara for Adams, Mohammed. It depends on your running back depth, but I'd rather have Adams in a vacuum. So if you have the running back depth to pull that out, I'm in. Ward Willis, would you cut Corey Davis for Toney? I don't want to cut Corey Davis, but yes, if it's one or the other, it's Toney for me. Wolfski, what's going on, Tim Gray? Gaskin dropped and Sony's on waivers. Where would you rank them against Toney and Darrell? I would say both below. I'd rank Gaskin next and then Sony. Because Sony's just a pure stash. Until something happens to Henderson, there's a big injury risk there. But until that happens, Sony's going to be useless. Gaskin, very intriguing, but Darrell's going to be the lead back for the Chiefs for the next few weeks. Toney's just an absolute playmaking stud. I go with those two guys because I'm not confident enough in Gaskin's workload moving forward. If you think he's going to get what he got these last few weeks, then, or not these last few weeks, last week was nothing. Literally won last week. And then this week, he gets freaking everything. That's a nightmare. I don't know. Not that into it, clearly, as you can tell. Happy PR, should I pick up Pollard for Sarah Riley, Booker, Darrell Williams? Need one to fill in for players on buys? So if you need the fill-in, you got to go for Darrell first. You need a second fill-in, you got to go for Booker. But if it's about who's the best player to own in fantasy, to roster, rather, Pollard would be the one. So I know that was like all the options. But if you need someone to fill in, Darrell's step one, Booker number two. Pollard, though, if you don't need the immediate usability, and Pollard's pretty usable too. I mean, he's seeing 10-ish carries a week. Kind of like I don't want Pollard going on someone else's team and then Zeke getting hurt. Like he's going to be a season winner. Can you drop someone to get him, Sarah? Oops, didn't mean to skip. Hold on, let me find my place. Thomas. There we are. I'll get right back to that question. Okay, Paso Lobo. Thomas, so good to see you. Toney is an absolute beast. I absolutely agree. I know you don't like Higbee. I don't hate Higbee. I'd probably still play Higbee over RSJ. I mean, what suggests I don't like Higbee? I like Higbee. I like Stafford, and I like that offense, and I like his every down role in it. I have no problem with Higbee. Maybe this week, though, RSJ may be over him because he gets the Chiefs. I haven't done my rankings yet, so we'll see. But I'm not against Higbee, my man. Not at all. How much FAAB would you spend on Toney? If you need the receiver starting right away, I mean, you got to go 35, 40. There is the risk of the foot. Like, there would be nothing worse than me sitting here telling you to go below $40. You go below $40, and then it comes out tomorrow. X-ray shows broken foot, and we don't have, him for 4 or 5 weeks. That could suck. But I say, I mean, he said I'm fine. He said I'm good. They don't sound worried about it. I'd go $30, 30 to 40, somewhere in that range. Whatever you think is going to get it done, James Martin. I'm huge. And you said you need a receiver bad, then maybe even more. Go get him. And then stash Bateman too. Jacob, should I trade away Damian Williams and Montgomery for Woods? If Dalvin and Henderson is 1-2. So it depends on what your receivers are. Like, do you need Woods? Because I kind of like the Bears' backfield. I think the Bears' offense is horrible, but they feed their backs. So I probably wouldn't do this, no. But if you really need the receiver, it's okay, but I think you could do better. It's crazy to start Herbert over Kyler. No, I mean, Herbert just had 40 friggin' points. I don't know the matchups right now, Bulldog. And I'll do my ranking show tomorrow, 7 p.m. Eastern time. Everybody come on in. But no, that's not crazy at all. Not crazy at all, Bulldog. Lance is QB. You have Najee, Swift, and Gibson, plus Jamar Chase, AB, Ridley, Devontae. Yeah, I mean, you got the depth. Now, I will say this Jeff Wilson stash, there's rumblings he won't be back till the end of November lately. I want to see this report. It popped up on Twitter that Shanahan said it, and I haven't seen the press conference. That could suck. But that could blow. I want to stash him. I have him stashed. I'm nervous about my IR spot being wasted, though, if he's not back till the end of November. But you have some great depth. I think if Lance is your only QB and you have these guys, I pull that trigger, Ben. Because your starters are already locked and loaded, right? Like, I'd go for it. Katie Jiggs, what's going on? Thanks for the great advice as usual. It's the least I can do for the random outfit borrows that I'll occasionally need from North Andover. That came in so clutch. I have it all clean and ready for you guys too, whenever you want it back. But you head to the Pat Sunday. Oh, I love it. Amazing. If anyone in the Wolfpack wants to chug a beer, shit, maybe I'll have to get some tickets. I'm going to the Browns game coming up. What week is that? 14th, I think it is. So, yeah, if anybody in the Wolfpack's around, Katie Jiggs is as good of a beer chugger as you'll find. Just ask Joe Latino. Oh, man, that was a good time. Ward Willis, Colts, Bengals, Packers. Which D do I stream? I'm off the top of my head, I know the Colts get Davis Mills in the neck. So I'm going to go for them. I don't know the matchups off the top of my head. Again, tomorrow, week 7 rankings. They'll be out, or week 6 rankings, rather. Come on down for those, and I can get you a better answer. Mohammed got Mixon, Henderson, Patterson, CEH. Receivers are good also. Mike Williams, D. Smith, and Jay Chase. I'd love to hear that. I don't remember if this is now related to a trade question, because just a reminder, in between questions, I typically will answer about 15 more, and I cannot remember what people said in between them. There's too much going on here. So if there's a trade tied to this, or if you're just bragging about your team, I don't know. But you have some great players there. Good squad there, Mohammed. I like to hear when the Wolfpack's doing good, because I certainly have steered a couple people the wrong. Schneider, 1-4 sucks. But it's good to know that there are at least some Wolfpack members killing it, like the Jagirs, like you, Mohammed. But if there's a question tied to that, please remind me. Juke Collier. Is Tyler Boyd going to lose touches? Yeah, clearly. He saw 5 targets this week. Week 1, he had like 4 points. This week, he had 4 points. He had 1 10-point day with everybody there. But yeah, I'm very worried about Tyler Boyd. I have him on my team, and I'm not happy. I was sitting there last week, Toney queued up in the waiver wire. I was like, I could probably get him before Sunday. No one will get him, right? And then bam, it's gone. Somebody scooped him right before Sunday. Ugh. We're really on Tuesday that morning. Guys, we've got a few more questions. Can't wait to wrap them up. But if you've been here and you like what you're hearing, please consider giving us that thumbs up button. Help us get out to more people. Share the link, drop the link in wherever groups you're in. I would love to continue to ask more and answer more. Would you drop Jacoby Myers for Toney? I would, Robert. I like Myers. I don't want to have to drop him, but if it's one or the other, it's Toney for me. Way too much upside to it. Whereas Myers still hasn't found the end zone in his NFL career. Give me Toney. Absolute beast. Was offered Hill and Swift for Kamara and Patterson. Thoughts? Oh, there's not a clear winner here, Mitch, so I just stick with the guys. Let's not shake up the fantasy locker room. I would probably stick with Kamara and Patterson myself. I don't think Patterson's a fluke. That's kind of what that trade comes down to is, do you think Patterson's a fluke? I don't. Kashif, do you like Cooper Kupp or Calvin Ridley? Oh, Cooper Kupp. It's not even close for me. You have Ridley and someone is interested? Yeah, please go get Kupp. You can get Kupp for Ridley now. Don't hesitate. Please go do it now. Don't ask any more questions till that's done. And then tell me it's done so I can sleep easy. Absolutely. I'm very worried about Ridley moving forward. So talented, but man, scary. Jeremiah, what's up? One league where I've got the first waiver wire. Which running back? Again, Toney's my number one, not a running back, but I would target Darrell Williams over Booker. It all depends, though, what you need. Like, Booker for 1 week is probably a safer running back 2 this week. So if you just need one plug-in and you have Saquon or something of that nature, then it's Booker. If you're just looking for the best potential upside, it's Darrell. So, yeah, it's tricky. And I think Toney's the better bet than all of them, just to say. And you might just want to hold on to that. If you don't need any of the running backs, Jeremiah, maybe you just hang on to that and wait till like a true league winner emerges. Wolf BK, what up? Gracias, Lobo. Thank you for being here, Tomas from Panama. It means the world to be reaching this many different people from all over. It's awesome. Who to target off waiver wire? Williams or Booker? I just kind of gave that one FCJR. Williams, in my opinion, is the better target because of the better offense and longer value with the injury that's expected to last longer. Short-term plug-in, Booker's better, and you'll probably get him cheaper in terms of FAAB. But if it's one or the other, it's Williams for me. And then they're going to go and trade for Marla Mack and ruin that. Got a new Hopkins trade. This time it was Chenault in 22-24 just for Hopkins. That's too much. Like Hopkins isn't, as we said on the Sunday show, Schneider, I don't think Hopkins is good enough, was it last night? I can't remember when we talked to you about this. Hopkins is great, don't get me wrong, but he's not like the type of guy that's winning you your league. And you're giving up a league, like I need a league winner haul for that type. I just don't think you're getting it from there. Mike Evans or Cooks. I like Mike Evans a lot, Psycho. How could you bench him at this point? Sweated out the W, even though your opponent had Andrews and Pittman. Oh, man, that must have been a sweat. Want to hear this one, Denny Jennings? Speaking of sweats. So this wasn't my main league, but this was a good league for me. I was up 65, half PPR, mind you, facing only Taylor and Mark Andrews. They put up 65.3. Lost by 0.3 when two players both went well over 30. That's a sweat that did not end good. A sweat that ended in puke. Awful stuff. Baltimore D and Mother Tucker. Yeah, I mean, that must have been quite the sweat. That one came out to close. Meant to say this for Kamara and Adams trade. So let me just scroll back up. Mixon, Henderson, Patterson. So you do have good running backs. Mike Williams, D. Smith. That's tough, Mohammed. That's tough. Because like Henderson and Patterson, I like Patterson. I like Mixon. You got a lot of like sketchiness with the running backs. They're good, but they're sketchy. I'd probably hang on to Kamara with that team makeup. Who do I drop for Toney? Davis, Boyd, Claypool, Corey Davis, Gainwell. I think it could be either Mike Davis. I mean, kind of useless. Are you ever going to start him, right? Gainwell. Boyd's on that list. I wouldn't drop Claypool, given that Juju's out and we just saw how good those target share was, up to like 26 target share without Juju this last week. So I'd say I'd rank it Davis, unless you think you're going to actually need to use him. If so, then Gainwell, like, it's so fluctuating with him. But upside to stash. And then if not Boyd, like I'd rather have Corey Davis than Boyd. I'd rather have Claypool than Boyd, given the target shares when he's got three people out. 3-2, no bragging. I mean, that's not bad though. Be happy to be 3-2. Like there's plenty of 1-4 and 0-5s out there. So 3-2 is good stuff. Trade Knox for Michael Thomas. I would. It depends who your tight end is, but Thomas could be a season winner. Jameis isn't afraid to sling, and I know he had very low yardage totals these first few weeks, but Thomas is an alpha. We've seen Jameis sustain Mike Evans and Chris Godwin and monster receivers before. I think he can sustain Mike Thomas, definitely. Okay, Jagir, too soon for another road trip, but I'll check. Yeah, that must have been a unbelievable road trip for you, Denny Jennings. Watching your team beat up on Carolina on the road. Get on up here. I'll try. If you come up, Denny, me, you, and Katie Jiggs will all chug some beers. Next time you got that road trip in you, get on up here, Denny Jennings. Hendy and Sony for Keenan. I would probably do that, BK. Depends on your running back depth. Like, it's not a sure 100% you got to do it, but in a vacuum, yeah. I guess you're giving up the whole backfield, though, and that backfield's so valuable. So you'd have to have some pretty good running back depth to make that like a no-brainer. It's on the fence. I'd probably accept it. But Keenan's also, Mike Williams has kind of become the number one there. It's terrifying, but it's true. I prefer Keenan, but the fact that you have both backs, like, can you give up just Hendy and then still have that upside of Sony if Hendy gets hurt? I would see if you can pull that off. You're welcome, Mitch, always. Do you think I could pair up Jacoby Myers and Tony Pollard for a solid wide receiver too? Probably not. Swift, CMC, and Moss. I mean, you could definitely have the ability to trade here, James, but I don't think anyone's going to be trading like a great wide receiver too for Myers and Pollard. Like, you might get a decent one, but I wouldn't be expecting too much in return. They're saying Saquon's injury wasn't too bad, Jeremiah, the last I saw. But if you saw something new that says it's going to be like 4 or 5 weeks, then yeah, that's going to change things a lot. The last I saw it was only going to be a handful. Cut Callaway and Rondale. Now I want to pick them up again, dropping Shitster and Curtis Samuel. I don't know who Shitster is. Oh, probably Juju. And Curtis. Yeah, you could definitely do that and get those guys back. Emery, I need to rebound big. I pulled the ultimate asshole move and forgot to finalize my lineup this last week in Dynasty. What an asshole that is. Like, slapped myself a couple times. Awful. I hate myself for ever doing that. I talk about those people need to get chucked out windows. So maybe a live video of the wolf sailing through the sky. But yes, I will be definitely out to rebound, out for blood this week. I need to definitely have a huge week against you, Dinsmore. Chubb and Thielen for Cook, PPR. Good trade. Am I giving too much? I think you're giving up a little bit too much, Drew. I love Cook, but like they're probably going to sit him this week. And as now a new Cook, he's on my roster now, new Cook owner. I love that I have him, but there's definitely an injury risk there. Like Chubb and Thielen are both really good options. For perspective, I'd give up Madison and Carson for Cook. I think you could get away with giving up just Chubb. How desperate is the Cook owner? Is he down big? I think you're giving up too much. Trade Michael Thomas for Knox. I'd rather have Michael Thomas there unless you're really bad at tight end. Toney or Darrell Williams. As you saw, if you want to rewind and hear the logic, Seth, Toney's my number one this week. Backs are CMC, Hunt, and Davis. Davis sucks, but the other ones are pretty good. I don't know, BK. I'm on the fence with that one. What are you thinking? How are you leaning? I don't feel great about it. If you can do it for just Henderson, see if you can pull that off. So that way you at least have a little bit of investment in that backfield still, because I love that backfield. Yeah, it does suck, right? Ugh, couldn't believe it. I actually went to bed thinking I won. I had like a 98% chance of winning going into the night. So I was like, there's no way I lose this one. And sure enough, I did. It's a league where I have the second most points and I'm 2-3. Brutal. Should I trade Sutton and Schultz for Pittman? No, give me Sutton over Pittman anyways. So don't give up Schultz and Sutton. No way. I don't like that. You can definitely get a much better. I'd rather have Sutton than Pittman straight up. So no. And Schultz is a good tight end. So like you have two good tight ends. You can do better than that for sure. I don't know exactly who you should go for, but you can definitely go for more. Gordon and Sony on waivers. Who's the best? I mean, it's Josh Gordon, because I don't care about that, Leon. So probably Sony. I don't know who you mean. Is Melvin Gordon? He's okay. Half PPR, Ertz or Henry. Choose two. So it depends. I don't know if you're asking for a starter or a pickup. We don't know what Goddard's status is, Jew. So in a vacuum, I think it's Henry. But if Goddard's missing the game, then Ertz becomes really interesting as a better play this 1 week. But for like the ultimate all season, I would probably go Henry here. Keenan Allen, Terry, or Swift. I don't know my rankings yet for this week, Zhao. I'll do my ranking show tomorrow. I haven't made my rankings yet. I'll do that tonight when we hang up, and I go through them tomorrow. So come back tomorrow. I think Terry, though, he gets the Chiefs. That's very hard to sit. I don't know who Keenan Allen has off the top of my head. Swift's very hard to sit, though, too, in just general. So I'm probably saying Terry and Swift. But come back tomorrow if you want a clearer answer where I can dig in. 1-4, yeah, shake up the locker room then, BK. You know what? Get some new blood in there. See what happens. And guys, thumbs up, likes, and subs if you haven't already. Really helps us out a ton. 0-5, nice knowing you. Hags, oh, terrible. Used to be the dynasty out there, man. Oh, brutal. Who am I starting at QB? I love Heineke. Yeah, I'm all in about that. He'll be top 10 in my rankings this week. He's been top 12 in 3 of his 4 weeks, over 20 points in those. So I'm into it. How does the Ragnew? I mean, obviously the line hurts for sure, but then they also might get, him out in space more often. His value comes as a receiver, so the blocking isn't quite as important. Gart was placed on COVID, so yeah, that depends on how long that's going to last, right? If he's vaccinated, I think it's only a good full 24 hours, then he can get back there. So we'll find out soon enough. Robbie Anderson get back on track? I don't think so, David. I really don't. Toney, 30 out of 100? Yeah, I would say so. Yep. 30, 35 or so. If you're desperate for the receiver like you said you were, James. Kirk or St. Brown? I still like Kirk. St. Brown's a better path to more steady volume, but the upside in that Falcons offense, or not Falcons, horrible offense. The upside in the Cardinals offense is too much. Should I look to sell high on Gibson? Maybe. William, you ask these types of questions a lot, and honestly, it's like, use our trade value chart, right? That's the best tool I can tell you. It gives everybody a number. RotoStreetJournal.com. Go find that trade value chart. Because otherwise, it's like we're guessing. Well, maybe you go for McLaurin. I don't fucking know. Use the trade value chart. That's why we make it, William. Who do I add? Darrell or Devontae? I'd prefer Darrell. Now, That comes with a caveat. They might add Marla Mack, but it sounds like Hilaire's injury is a little bit more serious than Saquon. So you're going to get more mileage out of Darrell, it seems like. Chubb and Thielen for CMC. Now that I could get behind, Drew. That I could get behind because CMC's expected back this week, and he is just a monster. Yeah. Yeah, that sounds good, Will. I don't mean to be an asshole. I hope I don't come off that way. But those types of questions like, should I trade this guy and who do I trade him for? It's like, it all depends on the art of the trade. Like, trade questions are so tricky because, one, you got to be all about targeting what you need and who has depth in that, but's weak in what you're strong in, right? So there's no apples to oranges. This player is worth this. That player is worth that. Go prey on somebody that's 1-4 and needs a receiver because you're strong at receiver, but you need to run back. You can, I don't know. You know what I mean? There's so many elements that go into that, Will. So I wish I could give you a better, stronger answer. A good example, I just got Dalvin Cook for Carson and Madison. I think I got a steal because that guy was 1-4, needed to win. He didn't get it. So he needed Madison. And I was able to pry Dalvin Cook, who rest of season could be the number 1 running back, probably top 3 if he gets healthy. So, it's all situational. That's why it's tough to give you a clear-cut answer on that stuff. Schneider, thank you, man. I wish you were having a better season. You're such a steady, regular. Just sucks. Most of the Wolfpack's having pretty good years, so I hate when it happens that somebody is loyal and consistent as you isn't. I hope I'm not a part of the demise, I hope I haven't given too much bad sit-start advice. But, yeah, that sucks, man. I really, out of all the people, your sit-start, your record is killing me. I really want to see that turn around. And we got time, man. We got time. So I appreciate you being here always, Michael. You're the best. Greatly appreciated. Just a few more. I'm going to do a couple more here. Who's the best tight end rest of the season? Cook, Schultz, Seals, Jones, Henry, Tunyon, Njoku for 25. I really like Schultz. He's seen 25 or more % of the target share in 4 straight weeks. That Gallup comes back. It's going to go down a bit, 25. But of this list, I like Schultz by far the most. Should we look to trade a little if Schultz and Knox on the bench? Yeah, definitely capitalize because tight end's so weak, so somebody's going to need those guys. But you don't have to force it. You could just flex one of them. Those guys they're so steady. Very rare to find that steady production at tight end. So, yes, get a decent haul for it. Or if you're not getting what's good fair value, then move on. Yeah, you got your dynasty team. At least you got something to root for, right? But I still miss it. All righty, guys. Well, thank you again so much for being here. It's greatly appreciated. If you haven't already liked and subbed and potentially even hit that bell so you know when we're live. I know Kevin said notification gang. Love it. So that way you know when we're live every single time. Spoiler, 7 p.m. almost every time, Monday through Thursday, 11 a.m. on Sunday. And then oftentimes the post-game tailgate. It's just been tough to work out these last few weeks. But hopefully we can get back on track there. But it means so much, guys, for being here, getting your questions answered, just interacting with me every time. I really respect it, respect you guys. So thanks again. You can find all our stuff at rotostreetjournal.com. We breed and feed fantasy wolves. Trade value chart, my rankings, which will be up tomorrow. Ranking show tomorrow, live at 7 p.m. And, of course, the fantasy fullback dive if you prefer audio or you need to listen at work or something of that nature. By all means, next day podcast posted at the fantasy fullback dive. We baby about the 2021 titles. In a world full of fantasy sheep, guys, be that wolf. Later. Good luck.